under, sideways down, the Yardbirds.
All right there, thrill seekers, how you doing? That was Over Under Sideways Down by the Yardbirds. I mentioned that I stole the riff from Over Under Sideways Down to use in the Zero Defects song by The Day. So I went back and I was like, I should learn the actual song Over Under Sideways Down, because I never did, not even back in whenever I came up with that riff. I just had remembered it in my head and played what I thought it was. And actually it was exactly the notes that I thought it was. So I feel vindicated. It was a different key, but it was the same notes. So I got it right. Anyhow, I was doing stuff all morning, so I don't usually make these videos in the afternoons, but now it is 2:49 in the afternoon and I'm making one. So I'm doing this this is one of my off-the-cuff ones, in case you want to know. This is one I haven't researched or done any, there's an ant on the table here. Anyway, I haven't done any research or anything on this topic. I'm just going to answer a question off the cuff. So here's the question that I got from since before your sun burned hot in space and before your race was born. I have awaited a question, and here it is. Ziggy's inside. He didn't want to come outside. Now he wants to come outside. Okay, let's go let him outside. Okay, turns out he wanted to stay in. So, okay, now he's barking at the door. Okay, he's just going to stay in. Here's the question. I found it quite inspiring what you said, don't try to change the present moment with your imagination about what enlightenment is. I tried to put it into practice, but it just doesn't seem to work out very well. The thing is, if I just sit, in quotes, there is obviously many thoughts coming. If I just let them be, they tend to stay or develop, even if I don't deliberately engage in them. To the contrary, if I have something, I'm just making air quotes for all the quotes this writer has used, a practice to follow, if I make something a practice to follow, my attention is consumed by the practice and is no longer available for the thoughts. Such practice could be asking a koan, contemplating a koan. Clearly it is doing something. I'm not a big fan of koans, but as explained above, I think meditation works better for me when I do something. The best would be to do nothing, in quotes, but how do you do nothing? Or what is this something to do? For me, it is looking deeper, looking for myself, looking at that shiny something pertaining everything I perceive, but it feels a bit like provoking a certain state of meditation instead of accepting what is, which would be confusion in thoughts. I wonder what you think. Okay, let's see if we can answer that. I feel like the questioner here has already answered his own question. The shikantaza is a difficult style of meditation to do. So I had these same questions when I started. I remember my first teacher, Tim, had worked with Joshu Sasaki Roshi and had been given koans, and I believe he had another Rinzai teacher before Sasaki Roshi. I'm not sure, but he'd done some work with koans, where he had something to focus on. And I had these same questions. I started off asking these same questions and going, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm just sitting here. I'm doing nothing. And the funniest answer is a cartoon by Gahan Wilson that I'm going to put up here on the screen, in which an older meditator is apparently talking to a younger meditator, and the older guy says, let me get this right, nothing happens next. This is it. And that's kind of the deal with Shikantaza. It's interesting. This cartoonist Gahan Wilson. I don't know a whole lot about him. I've seen his cartoons for a long time. He's been popular, but he seems to have some idea about Shikantaza, because that's just it. So if you have a koan to think about, well, yeah, you're going to be absorbed in that koan. If you have a mantra, this is what they do in TM, Transcendental Meditation. They give you a mantra and they say repeat the mantra over and over. That's standard. It's not just TM, it's standard issue mantra meditation. If you read some of the Nisargadatta Maharaj stuff, it sounds like he was in the habit of giving certain students mantras to think about, or telling them to engage in what's called bhakti meditation, in which they worship the form of God, as Krishna, or through song, or through things like this. Shikantaza is not like that. You just let it all go, and you're kind of, it's a bit like learning to swim by having somebody throw you in the deep end of the swimming pool and then say, here, swim. Without any lessons, without anything to do. And if you were to do that in swimming, well, your choice is either I figure out how to swim or I die. So you're just, you'll do anything, and eventually you'll figure out what works. And that's kind of it. What works is a kind of a funny way to put it. There's nothing to hold on to. You're just kind of rudderless with Shikantaza. Now, there is the instruction that Dogen gives to turn the light around and reflect inward. He makes a lot of statements. I should have brought Fukan Zazengi out with me because I don't have it all memorized. But he makes a lot of statements to that effect. And the entirety of Shobo Genzo is a reflection on Zazen. That's what I think it is. So he wrote this giant, it comes in 4 volumes if you get the Nishijima Cross version, and each volume is 300 odd pages. So he wrote a lot about what goes on in Zazen. But it's all just nothing. It's all undirected. So you just let what happens happen. Now, our questioner says, if you do something looking at the shining... Well, one thing Nisargadatta Maharaj says, to get back to him, is meditate on the meditator, which is an interesting way to put it, and I think a useful way to put it. So you can kind of look into, well, who is doing this meditation? Well, who am I? You can think of questions like that. But again, even those questions have to be let go, because even those questions are putting a framework around it. And what you're trying to do, if you're trying to do anything, is get rid of all of the frameworks, all of the framing devices, anything that distracts you from what is here and now. And yeah, if it's a bunch of thoughts and stuff, what Nishijima Roshi used to always say to me when I would complain about that is, that's just the content of your Zazen. This was his standard answer every time, every single time. I could come up with any variation on the question of, oh my God, what should I do during Zazen? I'm thinking this, I'm having that, I'm feeling this or that. Wow, a bird just came and landed in this tree over here. Well, that's really cute. I've never seen one land there. It's a short tree, a very low tree, so I think it's a dove or a pigeon. Anyway, so just kind of letting all of it go and letting it happen. And the only thing Nishijima Roshi ever talked about focusing on, if he meant focusing on anything, is posture. And even that, he wouldn't say, focus on your posture. You just kind of say, make sure your back is straight. So when you feel that you're thinking something or something is going on, this is all I do. I just go, okay, every time that my thoughts wander, my posture wanders along with them. So I've never, in almost 40 years of Zen practice, I have never had a time when my thoughts wandered during Zazen where my posture remained good. It always went, the common thing for me is my shoulders would go up. It doesn't happen quite as much anymore. Not like this, but I think it actually literally was like this, all the way up to my ears when I first started, because Tim would do posture adjustments, and he'd always push my shoulders down, and sometimes he'd push pretty hard because they were way up. So that's what I do when my thoughts, head's filling up with thoughts and too much distraction is going on. I notice my posture. I in my case, I try to expand my chest, pull my shoulders back, and pull them down, and make sure that I'm still keeping that balance point. And that's all there is to it. And I know that's not a satisfying answer. If you want to go try a koan, there's places around who will assign one to you, and you can try it and see what happens. I've never done it, so I don't know what happens. My friend Rob, who just told me that he likes it when I mention him on the videos, he was just telling me he went to a Rinzai retreat where they gave him a koan. So you can go get a koan if you want and see if that helps. But I trusted my two teachers who said just do shikantaza, just let everything go. So no matter what happens, that's still zazen. Keep your posture straight. Maybe do a little bit of turning the light inwards and meditating on the meditator, looking at who is having this experience of meditation, who is getting frustrated about having too many thoughts, where is that coming from? So instead of facing the superficial thing, face what the thing is, that try to find out what that thing is that is getting frustrated. Who's getting frustrated? That's my best answer to that. Okay, so that's an off-the-cuff reply, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to contribute to my ongoing work, you can go to the URL you are seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main ways of making a living, and I've been doing my taxes lately, and really... let's see, book royalties amounted this year to something like $3,000. So that's what you make from books. Everything else comes from you guys, and it really helps a lot when you contribute. So I thank you very much. But as always, I offer this for free, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to pay. We'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. I guess I'm going to have to get Ziggy's cameo inside because he's not coming out. Let's go get his cameo. See you later. Maybe we shouldn't disturb Ziggy. Looks like he's sleeping very peacefully here. He's the proverbial lazy yellow dog, isn't he? Alright, Ziggy, have a nice nap.